You're listening to the Plumbing Sales Coach, where we give companies the strategies and skills to create a massive customer following.
Fresh.
Thank you for making us part of Spotify's top 10% most shared and followed podcast. And now, your host, Chris.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Fresh Approach. I'm your host, CF, the Plumbing Sales Coach. I want to talk to you today about hiring and firing and how that can affect culture. Now, whether you're a plumber that works for a company, a CSR that works for a company, an apprentice that works for a company, or whether you're a licensed plumber that maybe carries your master's journeyman, some sort of card, or you're an actual owner that has a company, this is true for all of you, and this is impacting you on every level. And I know we have a lot of people that listen to our podcast that are HVAC and electrical and landscaping and all the trades that are out there. I even think we have financial advisors and realtors that listen to this episode. This is still going to be true for you. Now, I might make this application in plumbing, but the same is true for you, because at the end of the day, what we're talking about is the culture of your overall organization. It has nothing to do with the business type that you're in. It just has to do with your organization. And this goes on in organizations that are huge, like GE and Walmart, and large organizations where at the corporate offices you have people working together, and at the store level you have people working together. This happens in plumbing or in HVAC and electrical, where you're out in the field at times and you have your office staff and they're still interacting with one another. And I find this interesting because we just developed a new software that's a white labeled app for plumbing and HVAC companies and home service companies that helps you interact with your customers. And as my sales team here locally that we've built is outbound calling these companies, tell them about the app, we can tell a lot about your culture on the front end just from the way that your CSR is or your office person is on the phone. It's crazy. It's crazy. The harsher they are on the phone, typically in my experience inside of the company, the harsher they are with everyone in the office. And that starts to breed this culture, this environment. I've had owners, I've had CSRs, I've had other employees that quite honestly were unpleasant to work with or around. Now, how many of you can relate to that? You've worked with someone that you're just like, man, I don't really like working with that person. I don't really like working with this person. Now, I would argue that you can't like everyone you work with. That's not the goal. The goal is not to go find a place to work where you like everyone or everyone likes you, because it's got a season. Meaning someone can move and go work somewhere else, and someone else can take their spot from another company, and you may not like that person. And so now all of a sudden you had a place where you worked where 12 people all liked you and you liked them. Now there's only 11 and you don't like the new guy. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is character. So for example, you worked with someone and you don't like them, maybe you like them, I don't know, but you don't like what they're about, because you've seen them do things that are detrimental to the character and morale of the company. You've seen them steal, you've seen them lie, you've seen them do something, you've seen them cheat. And here's what I've noticed. When I'm working with someone or I'm in a workplace with someone and I see them do something, my view of them goes down. My opinion of them goes down. My assessment of them lowers. Now, that's isolated and limited to that one person until they do it again and again. And then eventually it shifts, sometimes right away, sometimes it takes time depending on the circumstances, but it shifts from them to their leader, to their superior, to their person that they're responding to. Meaning if I'm working at, CarMax back in the day when I was younger, and I see a guy lie to a customer and I know that the sales manager knows that's going on, I no longer just limit my viewpoint to that salesperson. I now include the sales manager. If I'm at a plumbing shop and I know a guy can't plumb and he makes some mistakes, and the owner or the operations manager or somebody goes out and observes this and sees for themselves, hey, we shouldn't have this person here, and they continue to employ them out of whatever, they're afraid to fire them, they need them, they have too many calls, whatever excuse they give themselves, I start losing respect for that leader. As a coach right now, when I talk to owners all the time, like, you got to let that guy go. You got to let that person go. And it's not because we like or dislike, it's because there's character flaws. They're doing things they shouldn't do. My viewpoint of that starts with the technician, but after a while it's like, hey, you're the owner, you're well aware of this, and you're allowing it. I remember a pastor gave a sermon one time. He says, people don't do what you say, they do what you tolerate. They do what you tolerate. It's interesting. I heard this said a different way when I was even younger, but you don't lock the car so that the criminals will stay out. You lock the car so the marginal people will stay out. Meaning, if someone's going through a bad time and they're going to make a bad decision, you lock your car. That keeps them from making that bad decision. The criminal, well, they're going to break your window and get in your car anyways. The criminal's going to commit the crime regardless of what you do. So what you're doing is you're keeping the marginal people out. Same is true in a business. You're either going to get the best version of somebody or the worst version of somebody. And if you got 2 or 3 people there that are ripping customers off, basically lying. I'll give you a great example. You got, CSRs dispatching this tech. Tech goes out to every call like, oh, they didn't want nothing. There was no work here. And then they rip someone off for like $8,000 to replace a faucet, or I don't know, just some egregious crime. And you guys are aware of that as a company. You see that. Well, now I'm not going to do that because I've got my own moral compass. I've got my own character compass, but I might start being late. That's where my little hang up is in life. I can be late. So I have to be on time. I have to aggressively be on time to be on time. So I could be late. So if I'm working somewhere and you're allowing someone to get away with something, I'm going to be like, hey, then you're going to allow me to get away with my crimes, which is being late. There was a guy working at a company in our program, and the guy's awesome. He actually still works for the company now. They were gonna part ways, but they ended up fixing it. But he was working there, and what was happening was he started to be late. He started to be late frequently. I think he had 6 lates in like 90 days. And while that's a problem, when we started to dig into it, we started to find out something even bigger. See, this guy would convert well, high ticket average, produce. I think he was like over 80% conversion rate, was about $1,000, $1,200 ticket average. That means every call he goes on, even the zeros, all included into that. He's rocking around $1,200 average. And I think he was doing, $9,000 to $12,000 of work a week. Okay, he's killing it, doing a great job. But he was late. And they were like, hey, it's a problem. And they started to write him up. And they started to hold him accountable. And then they suspended him. So I went down there on a shop visit. And while I was on a shop visit, he was suspended. And I was like, why is he suspended? And they told me. And I was like, ooh, okay, yep, I agree. We got to keep people accountable. We got to keep people on time. But man, all right, well, that seems intense. And then he came in one of the days I was there. And we got a chance to talk for about a half hour. And it's just me and him. And I was like, what's going on, man? And he was like telling me, he's like, well, to be honest with you, I see guys here flood a home out, and they kind of get corrected or coached up, but they get to keep their job. They don't get suspended there. And I'm late, and I get suspended. That's crazy. And I'm like, wow, that is crazy. That's not a fair and balanced justice system. So we had a meeting with the owners. We had a meeting with him and an operations manager. And I asked him a question inside that meeting with the group, and I said, let me ask you a question. I said, you were late 6 times. How many of those times were avoidable? How many of those times of the 6 did you wake up and go, screw it, I'm just going to be late because I don't care anymore? And he looked at me and he goes, honestly, 4 of them that I can think of. So that means of the 6 times he was late, 4 of them he chose to be late because they got the worst version of him, the point I was making earlier. 6 of the times that he, quote unquote, broke into the car, 4 of the times were just because the door was unlocked and no one else was following the rules. The cops weren't holding anyone accountable, so I just decided to go ahead and take what I wanted. Okay, that's an extreme example of him just waking up going, I can get there on time, but Steve flooded out the house the other day and they didn't do nothing to him, so what are they going to do to me? Just doesn't get ready as fast, just doesn't get his shower as fast. Now he's on his way to work and he wants a Red Bull. He would normally go in, go to the meeting, and then go to the gas station, get the Red Bull on the first job. But today, I'll just get the Red Bull on my way in. You ever seen somebody walk in late and they've got like a drink or some food in their hands and you're like, what? You had time for that? Yeah, because they don't care. They don't care. And I'm telling you right now, it's either them that's the cancer or they've been infected by the cancer. And you better eradicate it. Look, if you work somewhere where the owner is allowing certain guys to get away with ripping people off, get out of there. Get out of there. You want some recommendations on companies to work for? Email us. Go to our website, fill out the form for more information, and just say, hey, look, I'm not an owner. I'm not trying to buy nothing. I'm just a tech, but I want to know what companies do you work with in this area of the country, and we'll tell you. And you can go apply and tell them that you listen to us, and you're probably going to get an interview. We've seen it happen quite a few times where people have referenced us, and the owners quite honestly like it because it gives them some sort of... It gives them some sort of insight as the type of person you are, because it aligns with what they're trying to do. Always be serving, not out there killing the customer, not out there acting like professionals, actually diagnosing jobs, actually treating people with respect in their homes, building relationships, and helping them feel comfortable when they spend $1,000 or $5,000. Okay, let us know. We'll get you connected because we believe in the culture. I believe in the home. I want the home experience to be better all across the world. I want the home experience to be better. I never really did this to fix plumbing companies or HVAC companies or anything like that. I did this to improve the customer experience, but you have to go through the company to do that. That's why we developed that app, because it's an in-home experience app for the customer. They get to download the app, and it's your company. It's your brand. It's everything that you are. It's all your services, all your stuff. They can even contact you. There's follow-ups. It's all this cool stuff in there, but it improves the experience for the customer. So now they don't have to go back to Google. They don't have to go look at the sticker. They can just call you directly. If they have questions, they can get questions. In the future, they're going to be able to see their receipts. They're going to be able to see their warranties. They're going to see all this cool stuff. So think about that experience that gives the customer. It's better. That's what we're after solving. So if I can fix you as an owner right now and identifying the cancer in your company and eradicating that, then so be it. If I can help you as an employee find a better place to work at, then so be it. So that you can then go in the home and provide that experience. That's what we're after. We want to improve the experience in the home. Always be serving. You know, I've never met an owner that's been in our program that regretted getting rid of a bad character employee. I've had almost all of them afraid to do it. Sometimes it's their top producer, but I've never had anyone regret it. I always say you only know about 20%. Whatever you're thinking about right now, like, man, should I get rid of this guy? This guy's, he did this. He swiped our company credit card on a couple things, like some questionable suspect character pattern flaws. And whatever you know about, you only know 20%. So let's think about that for a second. If you know 5 things that someone did, they probably did whatever that number is, 100? No, what's that number? 5 times 5, 25. It's not a math school. It's a process school. Yeah, look, if you want your company to be this kind of company that we're talking about, reach out to us. We've fixed so many at this point. We've helped so many at this point. We help them on a daily basis. I got a coaching call in about 15 minutes, actually. As soon as this podcast ends, I'm hopping on a coaching call with a company in South Carolina. Listen, this is so important to get this culture dialed in, to get the right people. So many of the companies that we help, someone promoted yesterday, they got like 30 employees in there, and our level 4 now. They just went from level 3 to level 4. ME Plumbing, ME. Call me anytime. That's there. So call me Plumbing. Genius, little squirrel, cute, Seguin, Texas, right outside of Austin and San Antonio. And they just graduated level 4, and we were talking about how important it is to have the right people. That's all these companies that are in our level 4, level 5, Next Plumbing in Lafayette, Louisiana, Mr. Drivy Plumbing down in Birmingham, Alabama, or Epic Plumbing down in Houston, or Plumbing Tech out of Cleveland area, Ohio, Independence and Richfield. Formula Plumbing down in Tampa Bay, Florida. And I'm in trouble because I'm going to miss some companies that I should be. Home Heroes in Anderson, Indiana. So many companies just outside of Indianapolis. Killing it. And what is the difference between them and everyone else? They know where they're going. They have the right people. 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 We're not on skip. We're not on loop. But that's the most important thing. They know where they're going, and they have the right people, and they're accountable. That's it. That's it. Now, there's a lot of processes in there. There's a lot of things in there. If you're a tech listening to this, you're like, well, what are their techs doing to kill it? Their techs are crushing it right now. It's crazy numbers. I think they're doing like $100-something thousand off 8 trucks a week. And this isn't like somebody like, I bet they're doing $50,000 commercial. No, they're not. Faucet's dripping, we're on our way. Toilet's clogged, we're on our way. They're just diagnosing thoroughly, giving the customer options, telling the customers, hey, look, you don't have to buy this today. You can buy this never. You can buy this in the future. But let me at least give you the option so you have it for your records. And we're seeing explosive numbers. But the people have to want to win. If you're a technician out there and your whole thing is, well, I just sell the jobs I want to sell, you're not a service plumber. You're an employee. You're just making money. You're not a service plumber. You're a plumber. Can't take that away from you, but you are not a service plumber. But if you're somewhere out there trying to truly solve problems, and not just the problems that you're put in front of your face. Look, it's not the customer's fault that they don't want what they don't know exists. It's not their fault that they don't know what they don't understand, and so they can't make decisions on things like softeners and repipes because it's not in their head. But it doesn't take away from the fact that they might need it or consider it at some point in the future, and we need to communicate those things. And it's not always about repipes, and it's not always about softeners. Sometimes it's just about resetting the clock on all the toilets because they're all 25 years old, and only this one's giving you a problem right now. So we can just do the minor repair, we can do the replacement, but maybe it's time to maybe reset the clock. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'll give you the price for this toilet today, and then you can see what the other two toilets are going to cost for in the future whenever you are ready to do it. That's service. It's giving the customer all their options, helping them understand why they got options, helping them with education, information, really understanding and asking questions so you know what their life is like, what they might want, what might benefit them, knowing your products, putting all that together in a package deal in the sense of you being equipped when you go on the home to serve the customer to your best ability. That's what it's all about. But you can't do that if you're not the right person. If you got character flaws or you're working with someone that's got character flaws, what's going to happen is they're just going to go out there and destroy whatever reputation that you're out there helping build for the company, and it's going to be a counter action. And for you owners, are you hearing this? The same thing is true for you, only worse. It's happening on a massive level. The employee that it's happening to, meaning I work for you, this guy works for you, this guy's ripping people off, I don't want to work with this dude, or this guy's using shark bites or using improper fittings or he's doing hack work. I don't want to work with him. I don't want to be known by his work. I don't want to be known by his experience with the community as it relates to customers, but also with the other plumbers in the industry. I don't want the other guys in town to think that I work at some hack shop. And now that reputation's getting out there. I've had some people say, well, there's no good plumbers out there. No, you're not a good company to work for, and they're not interested. You're not on their radar. Get on their radar by improving your crew. There's somebody that works for you potentially right now that has a bad reputation amongst the other plumbers, and they know it, so they are no longer interested in working for you. Because they think that's what you are. That was the point I was making earlier. See, reputation is transferred. Reputation is transferred, and it has always been transferred. You're guilt by association. So meaning that if you hang out with the wrong crowd, you're going to be deemed the wrong crowd. Guilt by association. And this is kind of true in a lot of times with even the criminal world. This isn't some just random you know what? I bet if we started... No, this is reality. This is what we've experienced with coaching hundreds of plumbing companies. Me owning my own, I've owned 4 different companies that I built from scratch, $0, up to 7 figures or more. 4. That's 4 different industries, 4 different types of humans I've had to work with as having employees. Right now, I think we were up to 15 employees inside of our coaching business and our software company, and it's totally different types of people than when I was running a plumbing company. Totally different types of people than when I owned a house cleaning company. Totally different people than when I own a piece of Atlanta Peach Plumbing down in Atlanta. Right now, I'm a part owner of that one, and so I've got multiple companies right now that I own, and it's man, and they're both well over 7 figures. I think Peach is pacing, 3 or so. This company paces 2 about 2 right now, and so it's okay, what? They're totally different people, totally different backgrounds, totally different skills. But what is the commonality? The commonality is we have the right people that want to be a part of the mission, and then we hold them accountable. We hold ourselves accountable, right? You got to have a vision, mission. You got to know where you're going. That's what I said was number 1. Number 2, you got to have the right people. 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 Then you got to be accountable. And the accountability starts with you at the top. Whoever I'm talking to right now, it starts with you at the top. So if you're an employee, you're at the top of your little organizational chart, your food chain. And so you're the most accountable. Even if other people aren't, you be the most accountable. Because you may not work there for long. You might go somewhere else to work, but you got to go with you wherever you go. So whatever you dilute in your moral compass goes with you. Don't let the bad characters that you don't agree with dilute your moral compass. If you're at the top as an owner, it's going to be really hard to tell everyone to be at work all the time when you're out on your boat all the time. Just saying, it's going to be hard. Now, if you've got 6 or 7 people that you've poured into over the last 5 or 6 years, that you've been there thick and thin with, you provided for them when times are tough, they provided for you when times are tough, you guys have a mutual respect for one another, then you could probably be out on the boat all the time because they're at the office exampling and they're the ones leading the company and leading the charge. But until you have that, you have to be the one leading the charge. You have to be the one that's willing to do it. Look, if I was at a plumbing shop, when I'm at the plumbing shop, period, and there's a problem on a job site, I'm not afraid to get in the truck and go out there. I'm not afraid to grab a shovel. I'm not afraid to give advice. I'm not afraid to stay out of it. I'll let them figure it out. I'm not afraid to be involved at whatever level I need to be involved at so I can be a great example. Here at the Plumbing Sales Coach, I'm literally at right now where we're at. I go back in the room and spend a couple hours a day with the guys and make cold calls with them just to example. I'm not afraid to be the first one that's accountable, because if I don't hold myself accountable, how in the world can I hold them accountable? And then how can I have influence to get them to hold themselves accountable? And it's almost like a cycle, almost like a circular kind of reasoning, where at some point the perfect circle breaks if you're not accountable. At some point. You can start right after you, but eventually you got to get back to you. Or you can start with you and then it's broken from the beginning. But either way, accountability starts with you. No one can be accountable for you. Listen, culture is key. No one wants to work. Dude, I'll work in an old building with good people before I'll work in a nice building with bad people. You've even heard it say people don't quit jobs, they quit people. Well, I would flip that. I wouldn't say people don't go get excited about jobs. They get excited about working with people, specifically because those people are working on something they want to be about. There's a mission involved. Here at the Plumbing Sales Coach, we're not coaching companies. We're always serving. We do it through coaching companies, but always serving. This idea that somebody would build a company and go into the world and say, look, stop this closing, stop this convincing, stop this persuasion tactics, and let's start serving people. That's what we're all bought into. Half of my staff would probably say, and we'd surveyed them at one point, they would say that they love that we teach people to do it the right way. And then some of them said, well, we like that we do it the right way while we teach them to do it the right way. Either way, it was about doing it the right way. At the end of the day, that's what excited them. And that's what excites me. That's what should excite you, is doing it the right way. Having an opportunity to create opportunity, meaning having an opportunity to go out and serve someone and make money while you take care of their problem. That's a beautiful, honorable thing. And you should do it with pride, and you should do it with confidence, and you should do it with accountability. I love you guys. As always, remember to serve your communities and everything, not just plumbing. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Plumbing Sales Coach podcast. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and check us out on the web at theplumbingsalescoach.com.